Welcome to the Meditation Realm, Planeswalkers. I'm Caleb, your guide through these blind eternities, and in today's video, we've got one of the March of the Machine Commanders deck. Today, we're going to be looking at the Call for Backup deck. These decks have been pretty fun to look through, especially because they're the first ones with new Plane Chase cards in a long time. I think these decks are going to hold some value long term, because Plane Chase doesn't come out very often. This is only the second time. And they still include the collector packs, sample packs. So you get a nice little perk with these commander decks compared to the old ones. Looks like it's got the same punch-outs and whatnot there. We'll take a look at the Plane Chase cards first. They give you 5 new ones and 5 old ones in each of these. So each deck does give you some nice little variety to be able to switch around. So the phenomenon for this one is Chaotic Aether. When you encounter Chaotic Aether, each blank roll of the planar die is a planeswalk roll until a player planeswalks away from this plane. Or a chaos roll, forgive me, until a player planeswalks away from this plane. Nice! So this basically turns each roll of the dice into a chaos or a planeswalk. That's pretty sweet. So then, for the first plane we're visiting is Alara, the section of Jund. Whenever a player casts a creature spell that's black, red, or green, it gains Devour 5. And whenever chaos ensues, create 2 1/1 red goblin creature tokens. Okay. So that can make decks big creatures. A plane I don't think we've ever been to before, Equilor, the Bloodhill Bastion. Whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it gains double strike and haste until end of turn. Brutal. Whenever chaos ensues, exile target non-token creature you control, then return to the battlefield under your control. Okay. So I'll be able to flicker decks and then just make guys big. That's pretty sweet. Double strike and haste is strong. Another place I don't think we've been to before, Mong Sing, the Karasha Foothills. Whenever a creature you control attacks a player, for each other opponent, you may create a token that's a copy of that creature, tapped and attacking that opponent. Exile those tokens at the beginning of the next end step. So that's just like Myriad, right? Whenever chaos ensues, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. If you do, Karasha Foothills deals that much damage to target creature. Okay. And I believe this is another plane we have not been to. Fabasin, the Grove of the Dream Pods. When you planeswalk to the Grove of the Dream Pods, and at the beginning of your upkeep, reveal cards from the top of your library until you reveal a creature card. Put that card into the battlefield, and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Okay, that's pretty sweet. Whenever chaos ensues, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Nice. So that just lets you cheat out creatures from both your deck and your graveyard. So this will be big for those big stompy decks. And on the reverse here, we have again another plane I don't think we've ever been to before. Gargantikar. This is the Mega Flora Jungle. Each creature with mana value 2 or less gets +2/+2. So this is better for like the tokens and go under decks. Whenever chaos ensues, create a 1/1 green insect creature token with flying named Butterfly. So maybe this is a plane with just giant creatures that it's going like prehistoric, giant bugs and whatnot. Here's a plane we've been to before, Dominaria. This is the Riptide Island. When you planeswalk to Riptide Island and at the beginning of your upkeep, create 2 1/1 colorless sliver creature tokens. Whenever chaos ensues, slivers you control gain haste and get +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the number of slivers you control. So for that one random person still playing slivers, it's not one random person. Slivers is still a popular tribe. But there's one just for that tribe. That's pretty sweet. The Great Eyrie on the plane of Tarkir. When you planeswalk to the Great Eyrie, and at the beginning of your upkeep, bolster 3. Whenever chaos ensues, choose up to 1 target creature you control, and up to 1 target creature an opponent controls. Each of those creatures deals damage equal to its toughness to the other. Okay. So your guys with big butts conquers theirs, hopefully. And on Ixalan, we have the Golden City of Orazca. You ascend with this. Okay, so basically everybody's going to ascend. And whenever 1 or more creatures you control deal combat damage to player, create a treasure token. Then draw a card if you have the City's Blessing. Oof, that's one that can get out of hand. Treasures and draw. Whenever chaos ensues, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped. So Ixalan seems like a busted plane to be on for a little bit. And then Kamigawa here in the plane, and Tawashi looks like the city. Modified creatures you control have trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, draw a card. Whenever chaos ensues, distribute 3 1/1 counters among 1, 2, or 3 target creatures you control. Right on. Again, if you haven't played Plague Chase before, it's an interesting variant. It's kind of fun. It's different. The variations on commanders, some people really like, some people don't, because some people just want to stick to the plain version of commander, but I find Plague Chase and Arch Enemy to be a fun variant to do every once in a while. So these decks have their usual stuff in there, a couple inserts. Ooh. This planar deck has got color to it. The last couple were just white. This one's black. I like that. Maybe it's closer to like a purple color. I'd say it's maybe closer to like a darker purple. But still, it's got some color to it compared to the other ones. That's cool. That's good to know. And then his usual inserts. Looks like it's all 1/1 counters for this deck. Because obviously, backing up is kind of the whole thing in this deck. So let's take a look at what we got in here for the new backup mechanic. If you haven't got to play limited, backup is really strong. Giving another creature the abilities of the backup creature until end of turn gets really out of hand sometimes. So the face of this deck is Bright Palm, the Soul Awakener. It's a 4-drop legendary creature, Fox Shaman. It's a 4/3 for 1 red, a green, and a white. It has backup 1. When this creature enters the battlefield, put a 1/1 counter on target creature. If that's another creature, it gains the following abilities until end of turn. And that's the whole gist of backup. You put a 1/1 counter or X 1/1 counters on a creature, or however the backup number is, and then they get everything below that text. And for this guy, it has whenever this creature attacks, double the number of 1/1 counters on target creature. That creature can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less this turn. So it helps make a guy with 1/1 counters bigger and makes it so you can't be chumped blocked by tiny dudes. Okay. And again, backup is just a really strong mechanic. The other face to this deck is Shalai and Halar. Also for 1, a red, a green, and a white. This is a legendary Angel Elf. 3/3 with flying and vigilance. Whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on a creature you control, Shalai and Halar deals that much damage to target opponent. Ooh. So that makes it so that you're just dealing a ton of damage by putting 1/1 counters on stuff. I like that. It's a good one. And then we got some good old reprints here. The good commander staples. Again, some of these, this is a good one, a staple if you're playing the Plague Chase variant. Otherwise, I don't recommend necessarily playing this in any of the commander decks. You can take it out for another mana ramp or mana rock. But really great if you're playing Plague Chase, like just the free planar die roll on this if you're ahead or don't need to spend the mana, and it's a 2-drop mana rock that doesn't come into play tapped. Very good. Absolutely worth running. This deck runs Cultivate and Kodama's Reach, so you're just keeping up on the mana. I like that. And then, some of the other generic commons and uncommons. Looks like we got, the 1/1 counter synergies with some of these. Arcane Signet's been a staple, like Soul Ring, in every commander deck for the longest time now. And I think that's just going to be the case. I don't think we'll see very many decks that don't. I laughed real hard when the 5-color Gerard Planeswalker deck came out and it didn't have Soul Ring. Everybody was confused about that. I remember even watching the Command Zone channel and they're like, what, did they just expect you to never replay your commander? I mean, I know it's a 5-color deck, but yeah, it was just funny. I do like the synergy of this backup stuff and then a lot of the 1/1 counters in this deck. Alright, so here's our first new card besides the commanders. We have Death Greeter's Champion. It's a 2/1 human warrior for 2 and a red. It has dash for 3 and a red. It has backup 1. And it has double strike. Ooh, so that's pretty sweet. He can basically come in, give a creature a 1/1 counter and double strike. If you're dashing, you're basically going to play this guy as a 2/1. Give another creature a 1/1 counter and double strike until end of turn, and this will return back to your hand, so you can keep reusing that double strike and 1/1 counter value. Pretty sweet. Or it could just come in and as a 3-drop and give something double strike. Not bad. We have Uncivil Unrest. It's an enchantment for 4 and a red. Non-token creatures you control have Riot. When they enter the battlefield with your choice of a 1/1 counter or haste, always a great mechanic. If a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals double that damage instead. Brutal. So there you go. And the Ichor Elixir, one of those new cards, I think this has been in every deck now. It's another mana rock. If you would roll one or more planar dice, instead roll that many planar dice plus one and ignore one, and it's adds 2 colorless. It's 4-drop mana rock. Pretty sure that's been in every commander deck so far. Mirror Style Master. It's a 3/3 human warrior for 4 and 2 red. It has backup 1. Whenever this creature attacks, for each attacking modified creature you control, create a tapped and attacking token that's a copy of that creature. Exile those tokens at end of combat. Oh my, yeah, so this could do a lot of work. You say you have like 3 creatures on the board already that have 1/1 counters. Could you play something on turns 3, 4, and 5? You play this, you give one of those creatures backup. They all 3 have 1/1 counters. You swing, and then all of a sudden you're creating 3 more copies of those swinging at each other opponent. Wow, that's I could see this being a really strong sleeper for the modified decks. I like that quite a bit. Yeah, it's just modified creatures, but still really strong. Ooh, we got a white dragon here. Guardian Scale Lord. It's a 3/4 for 4 and a white. It has backup 1. It has flying, and whenever this creature attacks, return target non-land permanent card with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield, or access this creature's power. Ooh, that can get really out of hand too. So you play this, you have a creature 1/1 counter, it gets the flying, it gets this ability, it attacks, it returns another creature with backup from your graveyard to the battlefield, and it's equal to its power. The creature's power is X, and the mana value return is X. So if you attack with a 4/4, you're going to return permanent with mana value 4 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. There's lots of those backup creatures and other things that synergize. I can see this guy doing a lot of work. Absolutely. Emergent Woodworm. Of course, it's a worm. It's fittingly a 7-drop creature, 6 in a green. It's got backup 3. Whenever this creature attacks, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is its power. You may put a permanent card with mana value X or less from among them onto the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Again, this deck just seems to really want to cheat out the backup creatures and just make things continuously big. I really like this, especially if you can cheat it out early. Ooh, we have a Path of the Pyromancer. These are one of these Will of the Planeswalkers cards that are really great if you're playing the Plane Chase version. So for 4 and a red, it's a sorcery. Discard all the cards in your hand. Add a red for each card discarded this way. Then draw that many cards plus 1. And Will of the Planeswalkers, starting with you, each player votes for Planeswalker Chaos. If Planeswalk gets more votes, Planeswalk. If Chaos gets more votes, or vote is tied, Chaos ensues. So, even just without doing the Will of the Planeswalker, this might be the best one I've seen so far. Discard all the cards in your hand, add red for each card discarded this way, then draw that many cards plus 1. So you play this when you have a hand of 5 cards, you net 5 red mana, and then you're drawing up to, so you're netting 1 card, you're going to discard your hand and draw 6 cards. So worst case scenario, you know, quote, quote, if you time this right, you'll net even, and then have mana open. Or, you know, late games, especially for like blue-red decks that draw a ton of cards, so you have 10 or 15 cards in hand after some other major draw. You play this, you discard your hand, you draw 11 cards, you have 10 red mana floating to go with everything else. This is another one of those really strong cards I can see going up. Conclave Sledge Captain. I believe we opened him in some collector packs. It is a Elephant Soldier, 4/4 for 5 and a green. It has backup 1. Backup 1, backup 1. So you can target multiple creatures with this, or the same one. That's pretty strong. So trample, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 counters on it. Ooh. So yeah, this is another one that will do a lot of work, especially for the 1/1 counter theme that this deck has, where everything's coming in with 1/1 counters, because you play creatures on turn 3, 4, and 5, you play this guy, you put a 1/1 counter on each of those other creatures, and then they all swing. Even if they didn't have 1/1 counters on them before, they're all of a sudden going to double in power by putting 1/1 counters in them. Like, really strong card. 6 is a little on the expensive side, you know, medium expensive, but really bomby strong effect. Wow, I like that quite a bit. Ooh, and then we got some other big 1/1 counter creatures. We got a Colonian Hydro. This can always take away a game quickly if it's not dealt with. A few swings will get there. Mikaeus the Lunarch. It's good for when your deck goes wide. Champion of Lambhold, another great creature for those 1/1 counter themes. Makes it so that it's pretty easy to get through. So Mocha's Command, always like that for removal. Flame Rush Riding, Forgotten Ancient. I really like the mana bases that they've been doing. It's been a lot better for the most part, compared to back in the day. Genesis Hydra for another 1/1 counters creature. This guy's really great for the 1/1 counter mana ramp strategies, especially having evolved. He just gets so big and so much mana so quickly. Again, this deck looks like it's got a pretty fun theme. I'm pretty sure the strongest of the decks, just like out of the box, is going to be that Knight deck. Eminence is such a powerful ability. Ooh, this is a good land to have in your commander deck. That can win games just in and of itself. But, you know, these decks, I feel they could have done us more and given us a few more new cards. I know they gave us the Plane Chase cards, but still, we only got 10 new cards overall in these commander decks, which is, you know, kind of a letdown for a lot of people, especially when we've been doing 15, and this is, you know, supposed to be, I thought, one of the main ones for the year, but, you know, hopefully they'll up the ante, I should say, a little bit in the upcoming Commander and Lord of the Rings sets. If you don't play this in your Commander decks, as in the 1/1 countered one, this is a staple uncommon. Inspiring Call, draw a card for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible. Anti-Wrath and draw on a green card. Really powerful. Highly recommend playing it. This deck, yeah. You know, there's easily a lot of cards to be replaced and upgraded, but this is overall a pretty strong Commander deck as far as the core cards. You know, where we've gotten in the last few years with Commander compared to like where it first began is so huge. There's only been a few like old Commander decks that are just like overpowered. And then of course the good old foil etched stick card, and then our tokens. Alright. Ooh, there's that pretty butterfly. I wonder when we'll actually visit that plane and get to see some of these big old creatures. Gigantar, I believe the plane was. Very interesting how many planes we've seen on the Plane Chase that Magic has yet to visit. I wonder if, you know, one day we will visit. That'd be pretty sweet. But, you know, we kind of have a habit of, like, revisiting the same planes pretty frequently. Although in this upcoming year, we are going to Lorwyn again. Or was it Lorwyn? No, Eldraine. We're going back to Eldraine. People still want to go to Lorwyn. Yeah. But, you know, we almost always revisit Dominaria and Ravnica often. Alright, so our card for this one is... Ooh, that's a pretty hit. And a mythic. We got Archangel Elspeth in its borderless frame. Foil. Wow, that's pretty sweet. And then one of the showcase uncommons for Judge of Valor. But wow, nice. Again, a pretty sweet mythic and a powerful planeswalker. Again, these collector sample boosters, you can get really lucky. Just the sheer fact that you can open up mythic planeswalkers and some of the other powerful cards in this set. I've gotten some value cards out of this. Again, there's a nice inclusion to these commander decks that are going to make their long-term value a lot better compared to some of the older ones where, yes, you had set cards in there that are going to go up because of the, you know, desirability for commander, but it's going to be the same thing for these. You're going to have ones desirable for commander, and you're going to have the collector samples of being able to potentially get something from the set that was amazing. Thank you for joining me, Planeswalkers. I'm always glad to have you here. Like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I look forward to seeing you here in the next video.